And tonight I'm joined by UKIP's chief spokesman and former leader, Nigel Farage. Farage? Which is it?
I don't mind.
You don't mind. Farage would be the English way of saying it, of course.
That's fine with me.
Yeah, OK. Why do you call it Farage, then?
Well, I say Farage. But what do you park your car in, Jeremy?
A garage.
Well, there you are. It's Farage, then.
OK, you're a garage. Good. OK. Well, let's imagine what a UKIP government would be like. We'd be outside the EU, obviously.
Yep.
We'd have a flat rate of income tax of 31%. Mm-hmm. We'd have no national insurance, correct?
Because that would be rolled into the tax,
right,
yes.
And we'd have,
as it should be.
We'd have no inheritance tax.
Yep.
And how would you pay off the deficit?
By cutting. And what we would say is in year one, we should be cutting public spending by at least £50 billion. And this is the one issue that the other parties just did not address in that debate.
So what would you cut?
Well, the first thing you do is stop sending £45 million a day to the European Union. That's not a bad start. And the next thing you do is you take a knife to the quangos, the unnecessary quangos that have been set up in this country that act as a real drag on society.
So that's 15 billion. So where'd you get the rest of it from?
Well, I've just given you nearly 30 billion before we even start.
I mean, let's remember, 2 million extra public servants employed, more than need to be employed. So about 2 million redundancies in the public sector. We
have, since Labour came to power in '97, there are nearly 2 million more people working in the public sector. The public sector is too big. The private sector, relatively, is too small.
So you cut about 2 million jobs in the public sector
over the course of 5 years. That would be the aim, and the aim would be, through cutting taxes, through giving incentives and through deregulating, to create real jobs in small and medium-sized businesses. And
you'd be spending an awful lot more on defence, wouldn't you? I mean,
yes,
you want another 25% in the army, aircraft carriers, submarines, destroyers...
We are saying that we can't meet our commitments, that we're falling behind, we haven't got the kit, and defence is the one area where spending needs to be increased.
And who would be our enemies in this world?
Oh, well, if you had that argument, you wouldn't bother to insure your house, would you? Look, you can never predict what the future's going to be. We, over the last few years, have had our services committed in Iraq, in Afghanistan. Who knows what the future holds? At the moment, our services are run down and they're fighting a war with the wrong kit.
But you'd keep them in Iraq and Afghanistan, would you?
No, actually. I think there is a very good argument.
They'd be much bigger, but there is less.
You can never predict the future, and to run down your defences is a very silly thing to do.
So there would be many more soldiers,
yes,
and more ships and aircraft and all that sort of thing, but what would they be doing?
What have they been doing since 1945? You know, we haven't fought that many wars since 1945, but the whole point about having services is that you've got them in case you need them. And at the moment, morale is bad, and you know, I mean, the equipment we've got isn't up to the job.
What about going to war with Iran?
Well, I don't know what the future government is going to do. I trust we don't go to war with Iran.
We're in this hypothetical, ideal world in which, you know, there's a UKIP government.
Well, listen, let's be realistic about this. You know, I'm not going to pretend that UKIP's going to form a government on May the 7th. That is not going to happen.
You're doing well to get a single MP,
What is going to happen is our share of the vote will increase. And bear in mind that in the last national elections, UKIP came second across the United Kingdom. European elections last year, our share of the vote will increase, and we've got a chance of winning seats in Westminster.
Would you favour military action against Iran?
No, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't?
No, I wouldn't favour military action against Iran. Of course I wouldn't. But there may come a point...
It is in your manifesto.
Hang on, there may come a point where something may have to be done to stop Iran becoming a nuclear nation, and it is a very scary prospect.
Oh, there's another thing here. You want to build lots of new prisons too.
Well, if you look at the Home Office figures, crime is estimated to cost this country something like 40 to 50 billion pounds a year, and yet it's a very relatively small number of people.
How many more people do you lock up then?
Well, I would think the prison population should go up. It should virtually double, to be honest, because the criminal base is bigger now than it's ever been.
I see. Now, all these new prisons, you wouldn't put them on green belt sites, would you? You want to protect the green belt.
Want to protect the green belt, yeah.
Where would you put them then?
Prisons don't take up that much room, Jeremy, do they?
Where do you want to put them?
Well, we could extend the existing ones, couldn't we?
So don't double the prison population.
The criminal base in this country is higher than it has ever been. Prison places are not caught up with that. And by locking up a relatively small number of people, perhaps another 60,000 people, we cut crime in Britain enormously.
You've got lots of other very fascinating policies here. I mean, you want to bring back the UK theme. That bit of music was removed from Radio 4.
Yeah, it was a good start to the day.
Fine. And you want to have Pullman trains on the railways.
Well, why not? Let's have a bit of heritage. Let's rejoice in things that are good. What's wrong with that?
Are they deal breakers for you in a hung parliament?
No, the deal breaker in a hung parliament is whether we're going to get a referendum on our future with Europe. I mean, this general election is frankly a charade. Most of our laws are made somewhere else now. To find out more about who we are and what we stand for, go to the UK Independence Party website at www.ukip.org.